Broadcasting from Charlotte, North Carolina on 730 The Game ESPN Charlotte. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
I'm not sure that God really cares about my comfort or my happiness so much as he does my holiness and my surrender to him.
For the next hour, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world.
I've always asked God to use me as an instrument in any way possible if I can help improve the lives of other people.
Bringing you high energy and thought-provoking sports talk with a purpose. Broadcasting from Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, from his mic to your ears, this is Bryce Johnson.
Welcome to Unpacking It, where we unpack sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world. I'm Bryce Johnson. So glad to be with you during this Memorial Day weekend as we honor and remember those we've lost, those that have sacrificed so much for our freedom. And so we've got a really great show coming up, and we're going to be joined by Dean Wegner. He's the founder and CEO of Authentically American. He's a West Point graduate, and also he spent 7 years as an officer, a helicopter pilot, and an Army Ranger. And so he'll actually be joined by Darrell Waltrip, former NASCAR driver and now a broadcaster. And so with the Coca-Cola 600 taking place, it'll be great to talk with him as well as Dean. And then we're also going to have a conversation with former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Levon Kirkland. And he had a wonderful career in Pittsburgh and was a Pro Bowler and All-Pro and a member of the 1990s All-Decade team. But he's been through a lot. And so he's going to share part of his story and his journey and give us just kind of how his faith got him through some really difficult situations, especially the loss of his wife. And so, looking forward to talking with him as well. Later on during the show, we'll do our segment Unpack This about the most underappreciated players in the NFL and what we can learn about that in our own lives. But first, let me ask you this. Are you paying too much for health insurance or not sure how to check what options you have? Well, be smart and know your options. Go to healthmarketgenius.com. That's healthmarketgenius.com. We're unpacking sports, faith, and life. Check out our website, unpackingit.com. You can also email me, Bryce@unpackingit.com. And I always love to hear from you. And joining us now is former NFL linebacker Levon Kirkland. He was drafted in the second round of the 1992 draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers after playing his college football at Clemson. He spent 9 seasons with the Steelers, 1 with the Seahawks and 1 with the Eagles. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, and a member of the NFL's 1990s All-Decade team. He joins us today to unpack his story of football and faith. Levon, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me on.
Well, we're psyched to have you, and we're going to jump into your story in just a little bit. But, of course, as a former Steeler, I've got to ask you, do you still follow the team, and what are your thoughts on the team heading into the upcoming season?
Well, I do follow the team. Probably not as close as I used to follow the team, but, I always want to see Pittsburgh win. This year has been a little bit of turbulence going on as far, and seemed like the coaching staff and, some particular players. But, I will always follow the Steelers and always interested in see where they're going. Always want to see them win.
Oh, that's great. So when you hear about players, whether at the Steelers or anywhere else, that that have the tension with their coaches or have tension with other players, just from your experience as a former player, what do you make of that, and what do you make of kind of the response from the media and fans when we hear about these types of stories or fractured relationships?
Well, I think from a media and fan perspective, you never really know what the inside story is. A lot of times what you see is kind of surfacey. What's reported, you really don't know. You can only base it on what you hear. I think the issue is inside the locker room. There's a communication breakdown. There's a relationship breakdown that was never really ever addressed. And I think when you have relationship breakdowns, it's going to be a little tougher to function as a well-functioned team. So basically, that's what I saw. There's a breakdown in communication. People needed to be heard that wasn't heard. And the relationship and the communication just went without really resolving the problem. And that's why a team that talented probably had some turbulence and couldn't get themselves together. And it kind of showed on the field. When you really don't get along, especially when you're talking about quarterback-wide receiver relationship, the water can get a little mucky. And I think that's what happened with the Steelers.
No question about it. Levon Kirkland, former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker, with us here on Unpacking It. And so I want to hear a little bit about your story as far as getting into coaching, and you spent some time with the Arizona Cardinals. And so what got you into coaching, and what was your experience like, even specifically with the Cardinals?
I really enjoy being with the Cardinal organization, especially Bruce. I think Bruce does a good job, especially with his coaches. He's loyal. He understands that they do have a life outside of football. So guys that work for Bruce really enjoy working for Bruce. You don't have to stand there and guard your desk for wasteful hours. He just wants you to be effective. And I enjoy learning from him. I got a lot of knowledge base as far as football is concerned, looking at it from another perspective instead of a player's perspective. So I think that was really good for me. I really appreciate that. I got into coaching by just coaching high school at the time, really. And, even from that perspective, I've always thought that, there's things that I have to get better at. So I got better at it and got onto the college level and then on to Arizona. And now, I do a lot of camps, some work with younger linebackers, trying to teach them the finer points of the game. So I learned a great deal from it. Like I said before, there's another perspective, but the cool thing I think about football is that if you teach the fundamentals, you can survive in any scheme. And I think if you could teach guys younger in the game, I think it would help them a whole lot.
That's great. And so now you've taken on another role as the vice president of development with the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, which you're also a member of. So what does that mean then for your coaching career? And then maybe explain a little bit to us what this new role is all about and what you'll be doing.
What I've always wanted to do was give back to student athletes of the game. And I take my experience as going through this process, wishing maybe that I had a mentor to show me and guide me a little bit more. And it was something that I always wanted to do, like I said before. And the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame gives me a chance to give back, gives me a chance to educate, gives me a chance to empower, gives me a chance to encourage athletes along the path. And it's not about going to the NFL. It's basically giving them a roadmap as far as education is concerned, helping them to understand how to get it done, what's required to get it done, and then also helping kids that may not go into college or may not go into athletics and help them connect with the workforce that's out there. In South Carolina, we're 48th in education, and so we need some help. And, apparently our school system hasn't gotten it done. Parents, our community, our workforce, they need help. And that's where we come into. We build off the skills that you learn in football, dealing with diversity, understanding how to communicate, there's a lot of things in football that I think you learn that you can put out in the workforce. So we basically are trying to make a difference.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so what are some of the specific things that you notice about this next generation and some of the kids that you're able to interact with that you're maybe most concerned about, or some of the areas that you really feel like you can pour into and speak life into and share wisdom and advice? What are some of those biggest things that jump out to you that you feel are a major need?
I think everybody just wants a connection. They want to be understood, and they want, just like you said, it just wants some knowledge. They want somebody who's been there and done that. And I think if you can articulate those things, you have a chance to really help a kid out, because they need guidance, and they need understanding, and they need someone to communicate those things to them. We do our best with our Bridge Builder program and our Workforce Connect on how to basically bridge that gap. They want to say young people today, but honestly, I think if there's a problem in the youth community, I think it's the adults. It's always like I say with players, if a player can't do something, then it's up to the coach to try to help them find out.
That's right.
It can't possibly be the player that you're trying to develop. It has to do something with the coaching staff and maybe what they're not doing. So whether they're not disciplining the kids or helping those kids follow through the process, it's probably the coaches. So when I hear people say, well, the kids today, I tend to say, what about the adults?
That's great. No, that's a good perspective.
So we try to just really give them a support system and a network that they can always lean on for the rest of their lives.
Levon Kirkland is our guest. He's a former Pittsburgh Steeler linebacker, a Clemson Tiger. And when we come back, we've got plenty more to get to with him. We'll hear a lot more about his journey, his story, some of the challenges that he's been through, and how his faith allowed him to persevere. It's all coming up right here on Unpacking It.
You're listening to Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson, presented by Charlotte Dentistry.
All right, men, you're invited to join former Carolina Panthers Eugene Robinson, Mike Rucker, and Jason Baker, plus former Steeler Donnie Shell for the Man Up Charlotte Conference on Saturday, June 1st at Forest Hill Church. Come experience a day of fellowship, powerful messages, and breakout sessions, all designed for us to up our games as husbands, fathers, and mentors. It's an event for every man in the city. Register today at manupcharlotte.org. Again, that's manupcharlotte.org.
At Charlotte Comfort Systems, we're getting ready.
My air conditioner is out. How quickly can you send someone over?
Scott Shelton here for Charlotte Comfort Systems, the area's original Dave Lennox premier dealer. We're getting ready for the myriad of calls from frantic homeowners with no AC. This happens every year. Don't wait for a breakdown. It is the worst thing for your peace of mind. Get this Charlotte Comfort Systems $89 AC tune-up and feel confident heading into the hot summer months. And for as little as $89 a month, we can install a new high-efficiency Lennox home comfort system that will significantly impact your energy bills. Plus, we add a 10-year parts and labor warranty for free. Don't be a frantic caller. Become a Charlotte Comfort Systems regular maintenance customer. We'll come out twice a year, give you 15% discount on repairs, and keep you comfortable year-round. Visit us online at charlottecomfortsystems.com.
Financing OAC. See dealer for details.
Going beyond the field. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson, presented by Charlotte Dentistry on 730 The Game, ESPN Charlotte.
This is Unpacking It. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're in the middle of a conversation with former Pittsburgh Steeler Levon Kirkland, and we continue with him now. And Levon, man, love hearing about everything you're up to and being able to really coach and pour into the next generation of not only players but kids as well. And so would love to hear more about your kind of journey and specifically your faith journey as well. And I understand that you grew up with a dad who was a minister. And so I guess first off, what was that experience like, and what kind of impact did your dad have on your life and on your faith?
Well, I think, I know that my father really loved the Lord, and he really loved serving. That was his big thing about serving and spreading the word. And as a kid, sometimes you don't quite understand it because you're in it all the time. But I think back in 96 for me was the opportunity to give myself to God. It's come with a lot of triumphs, but it's come with a lot of pain and a lot of struggling also. I've lost a lot of close people to me within a really 5-year span. I've lost some of the most important people, like your parents, my mom, my dad, my wife, and older brothers. So the thing that keeps you going, not besides playing football, but being grounded in a good foundation as far as the word is concerned. And it's something that I never forgot before. And it's kept me sane, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of times when, whether you go through the good times or the bad times, you always got to depend on that solid foundation. And just remember my father always talking about, putting your house on a solid foundation.
That's right.
And that really resonated and always stuck with me. So that's been my journey. And I feel like that's my calling, to serve young student athletes and try to understand them and try to, help them, because I've been through all the levels as far as playing is concerned after you finish playing. And I want to make sure that they don't have to go through some of the challenges that I've gone through. I think some of the challenges the earlier generation had to go through. And I think by understanding what God and his purpose and how you think of yourself, and I think a lot of times that's what we miss. The Bible talks about, what a man thinketh, moving mountains, and really we're capable of doing so much. And, that's what I want to give back to other people. Not just my word, but God's word about, having the right mindset and actually doing the work. But, a lot of times it takes faith, even though you don't really know exactly how you're going to get it done. Sometimes it takes faith and not really knowing, but at least going forward. That's what faith is all about. So I think that's what my background and my journey has taken me, and I hope I articulated that well enough to your audience to let them know that that friend indeed is through Jesus Christ.
Wow, Levon Kirkland, our guest right now on Unpacking It, former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker, and there's a lot to unpack with that story. And I guess I want to go back to you mentioned the year 1996 as a turning point for you. What was that turning point, and what led to that turning point?
Right after the Super Bowl year, maybe it was 97, but I wasn't struggling, but I felt like I needed to take it to another level as far as my faith was concerned. I was doing fine, but I felt like maybe there was something missing, and talked to my sister-in-law and just really turned myself over to God. And, it seemed like I got a clarity at that time, and it was amazing how well things went that year. Just really trusting in him and not really relying on my knowledge or, anything or really, my will, or, how people say, well, he has the will and he has the determination. I feel like sometimes that our will and our human will and determination is not enough.
That's right.
It's not enough. You can see that on a daily basis from the morning to the evening.
Yeah.
Your willpower kind of gives out during the evening, So I see then that, we can't do this journey by ourselves, that we need our Father to help us through. I'm not
Amen.
saying it's going to make it sunshine and rainbows and your life is just going to turn into fortune, but you do have a solid ground and you have a base, and a lot of times it's important to have that base.
That's right. What a great perspective from Levon Kirkland here on Unpacking It. And it really is true. All of us have to get to that point of surrender and saying it's not about me, and truly just submitting ourselves to the Lord and to say, hey, I want to do it your way. I want to do it with your strength, not just my own strength. And then life becomes just a lot more powerful. Doesn't mean that everything becomes great, but it becomes more powerful, and we're able to get through the good times, the bad times with the strength from the Lord. And you mentioned some of those good times in your last response, but also earlier in the conversation, you mentioned some really tough stuff that you faced, and so as you continue to process those tough experiences, to watch those that you love pass away and not be able to be with them right now, how did your faith really grow during those times, and what was revealed to you during that experience that might even be an encouragement to somebody listening today?
Okay, one of the things that it may seem a little strange, but one of the things I learned just kind of reading is that I think a lot of times when we go through moments of grief, that we don't own anybody. They're not ours. And that it's okay not to be okay.
That's right.
I tell people, ask me that all the time. And a lot of times from a Christian standpoint, you get people saying, be strong and this and that. The Bible, it basically says, put your burdens on him and not trying to hold it on your own. I think people go in thinking they have to be a stoic kind of person. And I realize that, a lot of times that's not the truth. It's okay to grieve. It's okay not to be strong. There will be times like this. The Bible is just what I've learned, just kept things in perspective more than anything, because losing someone that you love, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough. You're going to miss that person and you're going to grieve, but that you keep it all in perspective, that especially like with my wife, I understand that, nobody owns anybody, that, you have to be able to let go at some point in time. And it is a part of the cycle. Like we talked about before, just having a solid foundation really does help. Having a network of friends and people really do help, because, sometimes this thing can be a battlefield in the mind. You start, if you don't get the right word in, your mind can go all over the place, and you have to be careful with that. And I definitely, especially with what NFL players go through, I'm definitely a little bit mindful as far as what the mind and the power that it has.
He'll meet you there and comfort you and just surround you with his love, and that's the amazing access that we have to him. And I really appreciate you sharing just your thoughts on that and opening up about that. Really appreciate it. Levon Kirkland, our guest right now on Unpacking It. And Levon, we'll wrap up with this last one. As a former Clemson football player, I've got to ask you about the team and just your thoughts on really the rise of Clemson football. What's maybe been your biggest takeaway about what you've seen over the last few years since Dabo Swinney has taken over as the head coach?
I really remember when he first got the job, a lot of people didn't think he was qualified for the job. I remember going in his office. It was the Thanksgiving Day, actually. They were practicing for South Carolina, and he basically showed me his vision of the team. And once he showed me his vision for the team, I thought, like, wow, this guy should really get the job. He does get the job. The way things went as far as him hiring people, making a comfortable atmosphere. I think anytime you work for a company, I think people think it's the pay that you get, but honestly, you want a great environment where you feel a part of the team, you feel that your voice is being heard. And I feel like that's what they get at Clemson when a young player comes in there, and a parent can see that same thing. And if you follow their blog, they really do a lot with the players as far as helping them throughout the process, helping them grow and become better men. I don't see it as a football factory. I see it as he's really developed some great men who love the product. And the Paul is very powerful right now, especially in South Carolina, but it's spreading all over the place. And it's kind of nice to see, especially being from this state, to see us doing as well as we're doing. I mean, it is amazing. And I'm really proud of what Clemson has represented. You know, it's being, you know, noted in the blue bloods of football right now.
Yeah.
You know, sometime in the past, sometime in the future, Clemson's going to be known as, you know, one of the stellar groups of football programs there is. So it's really good to see. He's done a fantastic job. And, you know, that leadership from top to bottom is so important. And Clemson has it going on right now. And being from the state and being an alumnus, it's great to see. It really is. And I'm enjoying it.
That's right. And it doesn't appear that they'll be slowing down anytime soon. And it's been fun to see. And especially for you as a Clemson great, it's got to be really exciting. So, Levon, man, really great to talk with you. Just appreciate your heart and being willing to share with us today, and great to connect with you. And thanks so much for joining us here on Unpacking It.
Well, hey, thank you guys for allowing me to express myself. I really appreciate it. And if there's anything that I can do, let me know. I'll be more happy to do it.
Awesome. Sounds good. He's Levon Kirkland. I'm Bryce Johnson. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Darrell Waltrip and Dean Wegner. More Unpacking It right after this.
The place to hear athletes opening up about their true passions in life. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
Unpacking It. Thanks Kazepis Law for their support of this radio show. They're a real estate law firm with a focus on residential real estate closings, offering mobile closings in Mecklenburg, Iredell, Cabarrus, Gaston, Lincoln, Catawba, and Union counties. You can find out more about scheduling your mobile closing with Kazepis Law online at residentialreclosings.com. That's residentialreclosings.com.
At Thrivent Financial, we believe money is a tool, not a goal. For more than a century, we have helped Christians be wise with money and live generously.
Hi, I'm Lucas Beatty, and that was my partner and dad, Charles Beatty. We are financial professionals with Thrivent. Our Charlotte office has over 120 years of experience. We are proud to serve you with relationship-based financial guidance that can help you be more confident with your money.
Please visit our website at Thrivent.com or call us at 704-525-2657 and tell us that Bryce Johnson sent you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Unpacking It radio show. I'm Bryce Johnson, and wanted to let you know that the radio show is a part of Unpacking It Ministries. It's a ministry based here in Charlotte, and throughout the year, we do all sorts of events that we'd love to have you come out and be a part of. From viewing parties to trivia nights to conferences, golf tournament, flag football tournament. We've got all sorts of things going on, and would love for you to check out unpackingit.com/events and take a look at the calendar and figure out what you can be a part of. And so really, Unpacking It Ministries is a ministry for sports fans, and so we want to gather together and hang out, have fun, talk sports, faith, and life. And so we've got plenty of opportunities for you to be a part of the Unpacking It community here in Charlotte. So check out unpackingit.com.
Bringing you unique insight into the faith and character of guests from the sports world. Welcome back to Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
It's Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson. Check out our website, unpackingit.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast as well as our devotional. Just go to unpackingit.com. And joining us now our two special guests on the line together. Darrell Waltrip is one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history and is in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He is a 3-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, and he won 84 Cup races. He is now a lead commentator for NASCAR on Fox Sports. He recently became an investor in the company Authentically American. And we are joined today by the founder and CEO, Dean Wegner. He is a West Point graduate and served 7 years as an officer, helicopter pilot, and Army Ranger. They both are with us to unpack their faith, their careers, and Authentically American. Darrell and Dean, thanks so much for being with us. How are you?
Oh, great. Yeah, you're over in the heart of kind of my country. I think your show you're in Charlotte, and I spent my whole racing career. I live in Franklin, Tennessee, but I've always raced out of Charlotte because that was sort of the hub of our sport. So you're right there amongst probably about 50 race teams and probably 50 million race fans. So you're in the right spot.
Absolutely. We're in the heart of it. And I guess we'll start there. So how did you end up landing in Franklin, Tennessee, Darrell?
Oh, my gosh. It's when I was a kid racing up, and I grew up in Owensboro, Kentucky, and right on the Ohio River there. And there was a little racetrack, Whitesville, where I started my career, my stock car career. And this guy from Franklin, Tennessee used to come up and race with us. His name was P.B. Crowell. And he and I became great friends. And I wrecked him a lot and tore up a lot of his cars. And he called me one day and he said, I figure the only way I'm going to keep you from wrecking me is if I hire you. And so he said, how would you feel about coming to the fairgrounds here in Nashville and racing one of my cars? I said, wow, that'd be a big step up for me. I'd love to do it. And so I came down to the fairgrounds here in Nashville, raced his cars a few times, won every time I got in the car, I won. And so he said, why don't you move down here and drive this car all the time? And so I did, and that's how I ended up in Franklin, Tennessee. I moved here in 1970, right after Stevie and I got married, and been here ever since. I love Franklin. It's been good to me. I have car dealerships here, got 5 car dealerships here, and I moved here with absolutely nothing. And this community and all the people around here, my friends, and everybody has just made this my home, and I can't imagine living anywhere else.
Oh, that's awesome. I've got family in Nashville, and so it's one of my favorite places as well. And Dean, you're located there as well, and you're the founder of Authentically American. And so I want to share with our audience all about your company, and it's still new, and now with Darrell being a part of the team as well. Dean, why don't you share just how it got started and your heart and passion behind the company?
You got it. Thank you, Bryce. And it is a pleasure and a privilege to be on your show because you and Unpacking It, what you stand for, hit on 2 of the favorite, most important topics in my life. And one is the Christian faith that I lead my life with. And number 2, I'm a big sports fan and a sports enthusiast myself. Darrell was in racing. I was an ice hockey player.
Nice.
So you meant West Point, played ice hockey at West Point, and still playing a men's league now.
Very cool.
So it's a privilege to be on the show. And Authentically American, you'd mentioned new. We are now coming up on our 1-year anniversary this month.
Wow, that's awesome.
To everybody, Bryce, I'm exhausted. When we started, it was a blank sheet of paper, but I could not be more energized with the response we're receiving in the marketplace. And it has not been easy, but we are starting to deliver on our vision, which is to build an iconic American brand that's truly American-made. And that second part of the descriptor is most important because people will say, Dean, you're like a Nike or an Under Armour, but unlike those 2 brands, everything we do, no asterisk, no exception, everything we do is made in America.
Wow.
We're passionate about creating jobs. We're passionate about creating a high-quality branded product, and we are working with businesses. We've got collegiate licenses. We are working with charities and nonprofits. Arguably could not be a better time to be doing what we're doing, and we're very fortunate. Was introduced to DW and very thankful and fortunate to have him as a member of the Authentically American team.
Absolutely. So people can check out authenticallyamerican.us, and basically you guys offer, so many different products and high quality apparel from Oxfords to polos, t-shirts, jackets, sweaters, vests, and headwear. And as I was doing some research, it really stood out to me that a lot of these products used to always be made in America, and now it's only maybe 3% of this type of product is made here. So how did that happen? And I guess how important is that number to you to say, all right, we've got to make a difference here?
Bryce, we absolutely want to make a difference. We talked about our vision to build an iconic American brand that's truly American-made, but at the heart of our mission is job creation, being able to provide great jobs for fellow Americans right here in our country. And you talked about the percent of the apparel made in the U.S. It's shocking, the history. When I share everyone a brief snapshot that 30 years ago, 75% of the apparel in the U.S. was made in the U.S., even mid-90s, Bryce, 20 years ago when I graduated from West Point, it's still 50%. And when people hear that it's only 2.7%, it's just shocking, devastating to know that millions and millions of jobs have gone overseas. And we're at the point now where we can not only produce a high-quality product that's oftentimes a better product that's competitively priced and just a better story.
Man, I love it. AuthenticallyAmerican.us. We're joined right now by Dean Wegner, a West Point graduate, Army veteran, and the founder and CEO of Authentically American. And we're also joined by NASCAR legend Darrell Waltrip, who recently invested in the company. And so, Darrell, how did you connect with Dean and decide to get behind this organization?
Well, I'm of course, I think my faith. I think God always puts people in your life. You always wonder how or why or how did God know? But I'm a big believer in revival. I think when your faith, you always. I can remember as a kid going to a lot of revivals. A lot of churches used to have revivals, and they still do. But then when I talked to Dean, and he was talking about reviving the apparel industry. And in my sport, apparel is huge. Oh yeah. There are souvenir trailers at the track, and all the race teams, have uniforms, apparel that they use. I'm in the car business, so in our car dealerships we have apparel. So it just was kind of a natural thing for me. A friend of ours, Bev Berger, introduced me to Dean, and I'm a passionate guy. I'm passionate about my faith, and I have to really always remember that it's my faith first and what I do second. And I didn't always think that way, and I didn't always feel that way, but I do now. And when I met Dean and we just connected, and he's a smart guy, and his vision was just absolutely spot on. It's a great time to be trying to revive the apparel industry in the United States, and with everything made right here in this country. Dean's right. I mean, I don't think like he does in a lot of ways, but I didn't think about all the jobs that have been lost and how this company and his vision and his mission, that it could put a lot of people back to work. I remember not too terribly long ago, somebody said those jobs are lost and they're gone forever. And I thought, wow, that's a powerful thing to say. Those jobs are lost and they'll be gone forever. And then you meet someone like Dean and says they may be lost, but they're not gone forever. We're going to bring them back. And I think our leadership in our country right now feels the same way. And I just was excited about. I know a little bit about the apparel business. We have a little internet store called dwstore.com where we sell a lot of stuff of mine and other drivers, and so it kind of was right in my wheelhouse. Something I was had a little bit of knowledge of. Then I meet a guy like Dean, and he tells me what his vision is, what he wants to do, and I said, man, count me in. I want to be on that team.
I love it. We're talking with Darrell Waltrip and Dean Wegner right here on Unpacking It, and the company is called Authentically American, AuthenticallyAmerican.us. And Dean, you mentioned, okay, it's been about a year since you got this started. What maybe as you kind of look back are the big takeaways so far? The challenges, the good, the bad. What really comes to mind as you look back?
I think twofold, Bryce. Number one is people said when you are in a startup, you're not going to believe how hard it's going to be, and I did not believe them. But fast forward a year later, I'm like, wow, they were right. When you start with a blank sheet of paper, it is not easy. But on the flip side, Bryce, it has been so incredibly rewarding about what we're doing, because when you start with a blank sheet of paper, you can be very intentional about who you are, what you stand for, your values, your mission. And, you know, from a value standpoint, I'll give you a couple examples. So we're obviously very passionate about Made in USA, about creating jobs, so that's inherent in our values. And I tell everybody quality is equally important, because the idea of producing a Made in USA product that's creating jobs is a great idea, but it means nothing unless it's a high-quality product.
That's right.
We're also building a very customer-centric organization, and we're very passionate about giving back as well. And that's at the heart of our faith, just a fundamental principle about tithing and 10%. So we have built that into our business model. So if you're a Fortune 500 customer, for example, that purchased from us, they know that 10% of our revenue is being donated to veteran charities.
Awesome.
And it's been amazing, Bryce, to see the positive response, because people say, Dean, one, you got a great quality product. Number two, it's competitively priced. And then we love the fact that when our company's logo is with Authentically American, it's a subtle reinforcement of the values of who we are and what we stand for. I'll tell you, from a value standpoint, I was so thankful that Bev Berger introduced me to Darrell, because we're fortunate now to have 5 investors on board with Authentically American. And I've been very choiceful and intentional on who joins, because there are a lot of people, Bryce, in this world with a lot of money, but not that many of them do I really want associated with Authentically American.
Yeah.
And I really want investors that have Authentically American-like values. And when I got introduced to Darrell and found out, first and foremost, he's a man of faith. He's a man of character and integrity. He's a family man. His values just align so well with Authentically American. And as we are now 1 year into this journey and looking to build our brand awareness and exposure, having somebody of Darrell's character and faith on board and his national recognition is just phenomenal for our brand.
We're going to take a quick break, but we've got plenty more with Dean Wegner and Darrell Waltrip here on Unpacking It. We are brought to you by Thrivent Financial. Thrivent wants to help you be wise with money and live more generously. These guys specialize in protection, retirement freedom, investment strategies, and holistic financial plans. Their Charlotte office is over on Park Road, and you can visit unpackingit.com/ESPN Charlotte for more information about Thrivent Financial. That's unpackingit.com/ESPN Charlotte. More Unpacking It right after this.
You're listening to Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson, presented by Charlotte Dentistry.
What's up, everyone? This is former Carolina Panther and Ohio State Buckeye Nate Sally, the Audible Coach, with your Audible Minute, presented by Paradigm 360 Coaching and Consulting. My 5-year-old son is at a stage where he loves to learn about dinosaurs and wildlife. A week or so ago, we were watching a Netflix special on wildlife, and we learned about the Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap is a carnivorous plant that secretes a sweet nectar to attract insects. When insects land on them, the plant's trigger hairs are tripped, and the plant's leaves shut, devouring its prey. Learning about this plant immediately made me think of the many Venus flytraps we have in our lives, and how temptation to pursue what seems desirable at first glance devours human lives on a daily basis. No matter what level of temptation we are dealing with, 1 Corinthians 10:13 reminds us that God will not allow us to be tempted more than we can bear, and He will always provide a way of escape in order for us to be able to endure it. I encourage us all to withstand the many temptations in life that seem to bring immediate success or joy, for very few things, if any, that are worth having will happen overnight. Longevity takes time, so let's all strive to consistently avoid the Venus flytraps of our lives and pursue the life of true purpose and fulfillment that we were all created to live. Once again, this is Nate Sally, the Audible Coach. Thank you for your time, and don't forget, be encouraged. God loves you. Dream out loud.
All right, men, you're invited to join former Carolina Panthers Eugene Robinson, Mike Rucker, and Jason Baker, plus former Steeler Donnie Shell for the Man Up Charlotte Conference on Saturday, June 1st at Forest Hill Church. Come experience a day of fellowship, powerful messages, and breakout sessions, all designed for us to up our games as husbands, fathers, and mentors. It's an event for every man in the city. Register today at manupcharlotte.org. Again, that's manupcharlotte.org.
Sharing the personal side of sports. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson, presented by Charlotte Dentistry on 730 The Game, ESPN Charlotte.
Great to be with you on this Memorial Day weekend. I'm Bryce Johnson. This is Unpacking It. We're unpacking sports, faith, and life. And our guests today are Dean Wegner and Darrell Waltrip. And we're talking business, faith, and life. And we're going to continue with them now. And Darrell, we've heard a little bit just about your faith, and Dean spoke about it as well. Would love to just hear about some of the key moments in your life, or maybe even the people that have had the greatest impact on your faith.
Yeah, a couple of things. Motor Racing Outreach is our ministry at the racetrack. And Stevie and I and a couple of other couples, we started MRO, Motor Racing Outreach, along with Max Health. Max was an ordained minister from California, moved to Charlotte and helped us with the ministry. And that ministry is ongoing, is stronger than ever. And of all the things I've done, as I look back, whether it's winning Daytona or winning championships, whatever it is, I don't think anything can top the impact that Motor Racing Outreach has had on our racing community. We have Bible studies in shops around Charlotte all through the week. We have chaplains at the track on weekends. We have a family community center. So great impact that ministry has had on our sport. But I don't know if this is, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I got to speak at the National Prayer Breakfast 3 or 4 years ago. And I'll never forget, my friend from South Carolina called me and said, we would like you to come to the National Prayer Breakfast. I said, oh, great, I've never been. And I said, so what do you see me doing? We want you to be the keynote speaker.
Whoa!
I said, whoa, wait a minute. Now I'm a race car driver from Franklin, Tennessee, and I've spoke in front of a lot of big crowds and CEOs and board members and everything else, but I just don't know about that. I just don't know if I'm qualified or not. And then he chuckled a little bit and he said, well, we knew that going in. maybe I wasn't qualified, but you're the guy we want. And so, wow. So I said, oh, let me think about that. So at first I wanted to say no, because it was almost too big a suitcase for me to carry. And but Stevie and I talked about it. We prayed about it. And God just sort of touched me and said, look, I want you to do this. This is something I think is good for you. It'll be good for the prayer breakfast, and I want you to do it. And so I said, okay, I agreed to do it. And I worked hard for several months getting ready for that morning in February. It happened to be on my birthday, February the 5th.
Man.
Which was kind of another sign. I thought maybe that means I'm supposed to do it.
That's right.
But anyway, I was a nervous wreck. I mean, I'm sitting there with Obama, Michelle, and a bunch of senators, and the room is packed. There's 2,000 people. The Dalai Lama is sitting right in front of me. There's people these dignitaries from all over the world, not just the country, but the world.
Yeah. And
I'm going to be the keynote speaker. And for whatever reason, the morning of that breakfast, I woke up and I was as calm and cool as if I was getting ready to drive a race car.
Man.
And I walked in there and I sat down and I went up to the podium and started talking about my faith and where I'd come from and what it meant to me and how it impacted me and how it changed my life. It just came out. It all came out just exactly like it was supposed to.
Wow, that's incredible. So once that was over, what were your thoughts and emotions as you kind of, even today, as you think about that? What comes to mind as far as what you learned even through that experience?
Well, I think when you put your faith in God and when you trust God and He has something, a plan for you. He will help you make that come true. He'll make that successful for you. I trusted God in that situation. I didn't feel like I was qualified to go speak to those people, but I knew I was a believer, and so I just talked from my heart, and I talked about my faith and how it impacted me, and at the end of the breakfast that morning, it was a very successful outing. So I didn't always, when I was younger, I didn't understand putting your faith in God and trusting God, letting God lead you where He wants you to go. But as I've gotten older, I certainly see that. I realize that, and I see times in my life when that's happened. And so those life experiences, I'm a big believer in life experiences. God puts people in our lives. He put Dean in my life because He knows that Dean and I have a lot in common. The people that I've raced for, driven for, people that have worked on my race cars, and people around me, those are people that God put in my life for one reason or another, and I never realized that until I got a little bit older.
Darrell Waltrip, our guest right now on Unpacking It, and we're also joined by Dean Wegner, founder of AuthenticallyAmerican.us. And Dean, just to continue with what Darrell was talking about and just the importance of faith and relying on the Lord and trust in Him, is there a lesson or a moment where you've really seen God work in your life as you have dealt with the challenges like you talked about earlier of starting a company? Because I know what it's like starting a ministry and the challenges that I've experienced. And so what have you learned personally?
It has not been an easy journey, Bryce, and I think the biggest takeaway has been that in spite of the busyness and the need that literally could work 24/7 every day, every week, every month, because you're in startup mode, how important it is to keep grounded in what's most important. And what I love now, like you've done, say, Dean, what's most important to you? And I'm very quick to say it really starts, number one, with my Christian faith and my walk, and number two is family. And I also put after that, Bryce, I say my health and fitness. And I tell everybody, if those three are well, everything else in life is going to take care of its place. Because if I've got a great walk with the Lord and family's doing well and I'm healthy, then Authentically American and all the challenges we have there are going to be just fine.
Wow. What a great word. Let's end it right there and encourage people to check out AuthenticallyAmerican.us. And they've got high-quality apparel and products that are made in the USA, from Oxfords, the polos, T-shirts, jackets, sweaters, vests, headwear. And we've been joined today by NASCAR legend Darrell Waltrip, who recently became an investor in the company, and then also the founder, Dean Wegner. So, Dean and Darrell, it's been a privilege to talk with both of you. Love the story and love what you guys are doing, and appreciate you taking some time to join us here on Unpacking It.
Yep. You know, it's not every day you get two DWs on the same show. So it's been a pleasure, and I know you're doing a lot of great work, and you keep it up too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Bryce. Keep it going. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much to Darrell and Dean. Up next, we're going to do our segment Unpack This, about the most underappreciated players in the NFL and how it relates to our own lives. It's next.
The place to hear athletes opening up about their true passions in life. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
Hey, I'm Justin Kazepis, founder of Kazepis Law, a real estate firm that serves 7 counties around the Charlotte and Lake Norman area. Did you know that we offer mobile closings in all 7 counties that we serve? And it's at no additional charge. When you buy or refinance your home, we make it easy by coming to you for your closing. To schedule your closing, visit our website, residentialreclosings.com. That's residentialreclosings.com.
Hey, it's Bryce Johnson, and it is time to start thinking about the upcoming fantasy football season. And good news, Unpacking It Ministries has a resource for you that will take you from the draft all the way through the championship. Order your fantasy football fellowship playbook today, and each week read about a fantasy concept and how it relates to the Bible and our own lives. It's designed for your league to discuss at weekly league meetings, on the phone, or in person. The FFF Playbook will add more meaning and purpose to the fantasy season and add value to your league. Grow in your faith, build deeper relationships with other owners in the league, and make more of your fantasy season. Join us at fantasyfootballfellowship.org and find all the details and order the FFF Playbook today. That's fantasyfootballfellowship.org.
At Thrivent Financial, we believe money is a tool, not a goal. For more than a century, we have helped Christians be wise with money and live generously.
Hi, I'm Lucas Beatty, and that was my partner and dad, Charles Beatty. We are financial professionals with Thrivent. Our Charlotte office has over 120 years of experience. We are proud to serve you with relationship-based financial guidance that can help you be more confident with your money.
Please visit our website at Thrivent.com or call us at 704-525-2657 and tell us that Bryce Johnson sent you.
Hey, it's Bryce Johnson, and really appreciate you listening to the Unpacking It radio show each week. But I want to invite you to check out our website, unpackingit.com, so that you can sign up to receive Unpacking It each day in your email. That's right. We send out an encouraging, challenging, inspiring word through email. It's in written form. It's a devotional that takes a current sports story, relates it to the Bible. We call it Unpack This, and you can subscribe for free by going to unpackingit.com. And it's about 2 minutes each weekday in your inbox. Check it out, unpackingit.com, and subscribe to Unpack This. And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe to our podcast as well.
Sharing the personal side of sports. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson, presented by Charlotte Dentistry on 730 The Game, ESPN Charlotte.
This is Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson. Unpacking It is sponsored by Charlotte Comfort Systems Heating and Air Conditioning. You've got questions, Charlotte Comfort Systems has answers. Visit charlottecomfortsystems.com. That's charlottecomfortsystems.com. It's time for our final segment of the week. We call it Unpack This, where I take a current sports story and relate it to the Bible and our own lives. So let's jump right in. As sports fans, we easily recognize greatness, especially when it comes to elite quarterbacks. Then there are players throughout the NFL that contribute in huge ways but fly under the radar. On NFL.com, Cynthia Freeland wrote an article where she analyzed players and came up with a list of the most underappreciated players of 2018. Based on her metrics, these 5 players were determined the most underappreciated last season. Jason Kelce, Kevin Byard, Akeem Hicks, Desmond King, and Adam Humphries. Each of these players were drafted in the 3rd round or later, have been to no more than 2 Pro Bowls, and were not among the top 10 highest paid players at their position. Now, plenty of people in the sports world are underappreciated, overlooked, and their efforts go largely unnoticed. Unfortunately, though, the same is true in our own lives. And it's important that we realize this, especially during this Memorial Day weekend. How many times have the people who make our lives so much better go unnoticed by us? We're usually thankful for the big things, but how often do we overlook blessings that appear small and underappreciate them? There are most likely people in our lives that consistently contribute to our well-being, but receive very little recognition. Also, how often do we underappreciate what God has done for us? When we do appreciate what we have and who we know, we will spend less time complaining. When we start looking around and noticing the key people God has placed in our lives that help us thrive, we'll be filled with awe and appreciation. Today, as we live with thankfulness toward God and a proper appreciation toward others, let's hold on tightly to what it says in the Bible. Be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. So I hope you're willing to unpack that for yourselves, and really appreciate you joining me today, and hope you'll stay connected with us throughout the week on social media and on unpackingit.com. If you have any thoughts about today's show, you can email me, Bryce@unpackingit.com. Until next time, I'm Bryce Johnson. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sins, he was resurrected, and through faith, I have been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a wonderful week. This has been Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson on 730 The Game, ESPN Charlotte.